Hello and welcome to this webinar, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andy. I'm the technical consultant of the Manage Engines, the AD Solutions team. On behalf of Manage Engine and the AD Solutions, I welcome you all for this webinar. And today we're going to talk a lot about the most interesting product that we have in our portfolio, which is the ADSelfService Plus. Now, before I get the thing started, I just would like to inform you all that this webinar is going to get recorded. So towards the end of this session, or perhaps by tomorrow, you should get the video link so you can show this to your managers. Or just in case if you have any questions about the product or any questions about this webinar, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is andy.p@manageengine.com. So you should be getting my signature with my contact details in an email once we are done with the session. And for this webinar, I have a team sitting beside me, and they are going to assist you with all the questions that you have about the product. So for any question that you have, feel free to use the chat session. You have a chat window over there, and make use of the chat window for asking any questions that you have about this webinar. Also, you have a Q&A section in this panel. So use the Q&A for any questions that you have about the product. So the chat is for the webinar and Q&A is for product related questions. And I will ensure that all of your queries were answered on time. And we might have a different session today. We might have a one-on-one session as well towards the end of this session, but that depends upon the time. So I have to rush up because a lot more features are going to be discussed for today. So I'll make sure that I squeeze everything in the next 45 minutes of all of your time. Thank you once again. And my name is Andy. I have been with the team Manage Engine for the past 13 years. So with that said, what you're looking at here is the ADSelfService Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the portfolio of Manage Engine, we have a wide range of portfolio. We have everything for the IT infrastructure. We have products that will help you to monitor the performance of the network. We have products for managing your Active Directory. We have products that can help you to facilitate your tickets and so on. But this one right here, what we're going to discuss today is designed exclusively for your employees. Not many products in the Manage Engine are designed for the employees, except for a few, but this one is one among a few, but it is a very powerful tool. Trust me. Once ADSelfService Plus is introduced, I would say these challenges will get reduced. And we even have a case study that the number of tickets raised for password reset or the account unlock have been drastically reduced to 1 or 2% from 90 to 100. Okay, so ADSelfService Plus is a very powerful tool. It has enhanced features. It has lots of functionalities that will ensure whatever the operation that you do within this tool are safe and secure. So to start with, the burdens that the administrators are facing for today is close to 40% of your employees are wasting their time in just doing the activities of password reset or account unlock. So this is a proven number, proven data. You can see that it was taken from the Forrester, and you have the link over there, and this will be shared to you as well. So the common issues that the administrators that are facing in the today's world is resetting password. Okay, and insider's threat is something that most of you would have been aware of, because almost every attacks that are going to happen or that is happening in the today's world possibly that occurs due to the insider's attack. So a person who knows about your system very well can do anything within the system. right? So consider a person who is doing a password reset for years and years. He understands how the password structure is going to be and what kind of mischiefs that person can do if at all he gets an access to your Active Directory if the employee is fired in your organization. It's a serious threat, right? So that's why we are, or the global is now ready to accept for a tool like ADSelfService Plus that will empower the users to do their own password reset or the account unlock. So a tool like ADSelfService Plus needs to provide some basic functionalities. Otherwise, that tool is of vain. For example, make sure if you're doing a password reset through these kind of software, it has to be accessed within the network. And if you're accessing outside the network, make sure you have taken enough precautionaries before exposing a product over the internet, especially a tool like ADSelfService Plus needs to be sanitated before exposing it to the outside world. And what kind of things that we have in the software that will ensure the tool is absolutely safe and secure. We're going to discuss about all the security enhancements that we have implemented in our product, and that's what the whole webinar is all about for today. Okay, so first of all, ADSelfService Plus. Now, this tool is going to offer these functionalities. The first and the primary feature the tool is going to offer is a password reset or the account unlock. Okay, so if a user has forgotten the password, they will get stuck in the screen where they will have to type in the username and password. So you will have provisions for accessing ADSelfService Plus from that screen. So they got access to it and they can reset their password. That provision can either be available on the control or delete section. That is the typical screen where you will get stuck, or you want that to be presented in Outlook Web Access or anywhere that is feasible, you have provisions for doing that. If it is a web page, you can easily modify the web page and you can have the ADSelfService Plus link for that. All these supportive documents are available. You can approach us at any point of time. We are open to give the document that will make sure that you will have the ADSelfService Plus hyperlink from where you want to access it for doing the Active Directory password reset. The next important feature in the product when it comes to the security aspects of the software, how the users can reset their password. So in today's world, not just the Active Directory authentication, even though you have the password policy enforced that will have a lengthy string of characters as a password, that is not sufficient. Therefore, it is very essential that you have to use MFA, multi-factor authentication, to ensure that only the right person is accessing the resource. So the same applies to the ADSelfService Plus as well, especially for the fact that the users are going to do a password reset, which is the most sensitive part of the Active Directory. For that, what are all the features that we have in the product? We will have the thing discussed for today. Single sign-on. This tool supports more than 100 web application platforms. Okay, so in the other words, you can configure your own web application. If at all that wants to support the single sign-on, you will have to configure that in the ADSelfService Plus, provided if it supports the SAML v2 authentication and above. So not just the default applications that we have within the product are supported for the single sign-on. You can configure your own custom application as well, but the criteria is make sure it supports the SAML authentication v2 and above. So then the next feature that we would be discussing apart from password reset and the single sign-on is directory self-update, which means you are empowering the users to use this tool for updating any of their personal information through this product, so it'll get updated in the Active Directory. For example, telephone number. email address, anything that you want them to update it. So they can do it through this ADSelfService Plus. That's again, we have that feature, but all of these features that I'm talking about, including the account unlock and the self-update, are enable or disable functionality. So if you want those features to be available, you can have it enable or you can just disable. You have a flag that can be unchecked, so it will not be visible to the users. But one interesting part that we have in the self-update functionality is the users can subscribe or unsubscribe themselves to any groups that you have in the Active Directory. And during that process, if you want that to be gone through a workflow, through a different product that we have at ManageEngine, that is absolutely possible. So the product that can get integrated with ADSelfService Plus is the AD Manager Plus, which is an Active Directory management and the reporting software. You have a tight integration with that tool. So if a user is subscribed himself to a group, it goes as a ticket in the AD Manager Plus. And once the approver approves it, the task will get completed. You have that feature. And the same workflow can be applied to password reset, account unlock, and even the self-update as well. Right? So that's one of the most interesting feature that we would be discussing for today. The another feature is the password expiry notification. That's one of the a commonly used feature. And just make a note of it, ladies and gentlemen. This particular feature, password expiry notification, comes for free of cost, which means if you're going to use the free version of ADSelfService Plus, you can use this, and we support unrestricted number of users. With that, the users will get an email about the password expiry. That is, you will get an email, something like this. Hey, listen, your password will expire in the next 7 or 10 days from now. You make sure to change your password. And within the next 5 days, if you want to send them another reminder email, those are absolutely configurable. And not just the end users, the same email can be sent to the administrators as well. And all of these features comes for free of cost. If you're going to use the free version of ADSelfService Plus, you would get all of those functionalities. And that will also be discussed for today. The last one is the password synchronization. Upon the successful password reset, if you want the same password to get synchronized with another third-party applications, including M365 or any web application that requires an authentication, you can do that. Or if you want the ADSelfService Plus exclusively to be used to do a password reset for those web applications, that is possible as well. So you don't necessarily have to reset your Active Directory password. You can directly use this tool for resetting the third-party web application, and that feature is available as well. These are all the features that we will be discussing for today's, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, or if you have anything that in particular wanted to be discussed for today, feel free to get the thing updated in the Q&A session or in the chat. So before ending this session, we will have a discussion about all the requirements that you have. So let me just quickly access the ADSelfService Plus, and I'm going to show you the features real quick. So what you're looking at here is the ADSelfService Plus. This is the dashboard. And the dashboard has plenty of information, including for how many users the password is expired, for users the password is going to get expired, and the locked out users. You can also see the information about how many of them are enrolled and unenrolled users. And this is the most important one as far as the security auditors are concerned. This particular thing is very important. How many have used ADSelfService Plus for resetting their password? You have that information in your graph as well. Okay, coming to the features of the tool. The first thing, if you are implementing the AD Self-Service Plus for the first time, what you need to understand here is you have something called as policy configuration. So that is available underneath the configuration tab. So here comes the configuration tab. So what you see here is the policy configuration. So please make a note to understand that this policy configuration is no way related to your policy, your password policy or the account lockout policy, what you have configured in the domain. And this is a disclaimer. Under any circumstances, AD Self-Service Plus will not modify your password policy or the account lockout policy. This will just obey the policy, what you have configured in the domain, be it a single password policy or a fine-grained password policy, it doesn't matter. Once again, under any circumstances, AD Self-Service Plus will not make any changes on your password policy. So what is this policy configuration here in the AD Self-Service Plus? Here, you're going to enable the features that your users are going to use in the product. As I said before, these are all the point features: resetting of password, unlock account, self-update, and change password. After enabling the features, what you can do here is you can apply this policy to a particular OU or a group that you have in the Active Directory. Nevertheless, to say, you can have different set of policies depending upon the number of groups that you have or the number of OUs that you have in the Active Directory. For example, you may have the top level users in a particular OU. For them, you want to give them an access to password reset, account unlock, and all the features that you see right here. But there are other set of employees, let's say some contractors, third-party workers, or the low-level workers who are not supposed to self-update, who are not supposed to add themselves to a group or remove from any groups that you have. For them, you can have any number of policies that can be created and have it applied according to the number of OUs or the number of groups that you have in the Active Directory. And that's the whole reason for having this policy configuration, which can be segregated based on the OUs or based on the groups that you have in the Active Directory. Okay, so once the policy is configured, here you have determined what are all the functionalities the users are going to use in the product. The next step is how are they going to do the password reset or the account unlock, for which you need to pass on a few authentication. For that, you have this multi-factor authentication, and here you can see all the functionalities, all the verification techniques that we have in the product. So this includes the security question and answers, the traditional way of a user can do a password reset. And you have the email verification, SMS verification, Google Authenticator, plenty of authentication mechanisms are available right here. Okay. Of course, when it comes to the MFA, you can use any number of authentication. In my case, I have enabled 2 different authentication. So I can define how many authentications are required. You can see that information right here. So if it is 1 or if it is 2, what are all the verification techniques that are required to be enabled for the users, that you can have it defined right here. Now, here in this section, you will have to define the verification technique wisely, because if you have gone with the traditional way of doing a password self-service, that is by answering the security questions, make sure the users are enrolled into the product. When it comes to the enrollment, it is nothing but the users are required to log into the AD Self-Service Plus by giving their domain username and password, and they will have to configure the security question and the answers. That is what you call it as an enrollment, which is a must thing for the users. Otherwise, they cannot access it for resetting of password. For that to happen, what we have is You have the quick enrollment right here, okay? And you will have this option where an email will be triggered to all the users available in the Active Directory with this information that says, hey, you have a new tool today called the ADSelfService Plus. With that tool, you can simply use it for resetting your password and don't call the technicians anymore, right? So you will have the information available right here. You also have the hyperlink of ADSelfService Plus. So in this email, if they click the link, it takes them into the ADSelfService Plus. They're going to log into it and they will have to configure the security question, and the answers are whatever the verification technique that you have enabled in your organization, right? So this is the option that we have. It's an email verification, sorry, the enrollment email. And we do have a forced enrollment. That is, you have the logon script that will get enabled on all the end computers. And that logon script will have this information that you see right here. You will also have the access URL. If they're going to click that particular pop-up message, it takes them into the ADSelfService Plus, and it will ensure that the users have enrolled into the product. So that is something that you can do it from here. That's the force enrollment, and the pop-up message will not let you to take you to the desktop unless the user is enrolled into the software. So that is something that's the most interesting part here. Okay, and the next thing what we're gonna talk about is so coming to the multi-factor authentication. So these are all the authentication mechanisms, like I said earlier. And if you're going to go with the SMS verification, SMS or email verification, make sure your Active Directory has the relevant information. Make sure that your Active Directory has the mobile number and the email address configured in the respective field. That is where ADSelfService Plus will be sending an email or will be sending a text message. So make sure that information is available there. So seamlessly, the users can reset their password, right? So that's the minimal requirement. And the next one is the multi-factor authentication for the endpoints. Like I said before, in today's world, for the fact that the users are accessing the resources from remote, sitting from their home, make sure that the users uses multi-factor authentication. For the fact that ADSelfService Plus support all of these verification techniques, you can at least use any of these for the endpoints as well. That will make sure not just the domain authentication that is required. On top of it, any of these additional authentication mechanisms that you have here enabled will be applied on the endpoints to make sure that only the right person is logging into the computers. And we do support the MFA for the applications. So we support plenty of applications within the product for password synchronization. You can see this, all of these applications are supported for the password synchronization or the single sign-on. And so for password synchronization, close to 18 different web applications. And for the single sign-on, 109 applications are supported. These are all the applications that you see right here. So like I said before, if any custom application needs to be configured, it is possible, but make sure that it supports the SAML v2 authentication. But of course, you have provisions. Otherwise, you have provisions for them to have it configured within the tool, right? So that is what we have in this section. So the next thing what we're going to discuss here is the password policy enforcer. Okay, this is one of the most required features if you're going to use ADSelfService Plus for the end users, because some of the features, some of the functionalities that you see right here cannot even achieved by the native Active Directory. Okay, You see this right here that says the password policy enforcer. And before I explain this feature, let me tell you a disclaimer, which I have told you before, but I would like to emphasize here as well. Now, this policy enforcer or the customization that you see right here will not have any impact on the password policy that is configured in the Active Directory. So this will act as a middleman between the user and your password policy. So if this is enabled, whatever the user, whatever the password the user is going to type in the ADSelfService Plus needs to satisfy the criteria that is mentioned right here. And if that doesn't matches the criteria, that password cannot be used at all. If at all, that authentication, that verification is done, then the next step is the password will be sent to your password policy that is configured on the domain. And eventually, it is your password policy that is going to decide whether or not to use that as a password. But this is going to be an additional level of authentication, additional level of a verification that will ensure the users are using a very strong password. This is password policy enforcer. All right. So that is what you have in the configuration section, which I would like to discuss with you all. And now I am just quickly going to show another screen that is for the end users. So for the end user, if they want to access the ADSelfService Plus, the option what we have in the product is Gina. So a Gina is nothing but that's a client software that needs to be deployed on the end user's machine. So you can see the option right here. Underneath the new installation, you would find your computers right here. You select this and click the install button. The Gina will get installed on the respective computers. Make sure those computers are reachable to the computer where ADSelfService Plus is installed. Only then the Gina could be deployed. Otherwise, you have an option for deploying it through a GPO, or you can even deploy it manually, or if you have a script that can deploy the client software, that is available as well. You can also use the ManageEngine's desktop central to push the client software to the respective computers. The option is available as well. So you can see that this screen will allow you to tell you what are all the computers the Gina is installed, and you can see everything right here. And if at all you want the Gina to be uninstalled, you can do it from here. So once the client software is installed, this is what your users would see. Okay, you can see my test computer. This is a test server. I'm going to give a request for the controller delete. And here you get this option that says the password reset and account unlock. So I click this one. It takes me to the two options, password reset and account unlock. I click this one. And let me see if this person can reset my password. Reset his password. So this is capture. So the capture would avoid the brute force attack. So you can see that the next screen is asking for the security questions. So obviously that is what the verification technique that I have enabled in my test instance. So I have just typed in my answers. Once again, this is a captcha. Like I said, it's a very essential feature. This will avoid the brute force attack. And this screen is asking me to type in the new password and to confirm the password. So I'm going to type in a new password. Okay, I have typed in a password and you can see that there is a progress bar which is still in yellow color. Let's see what will happen after typing in the captcha. I'm very curious to understand if this password will be accepted by the tool or not. But you see this option. You see this one right here. It gives a tick mark for this one because the password is obviously more than 8 characters. And it is telling me that the number of special characters to be included is 2. Of course, I did not include 2 characters in my password. And this one that says the must not contain the restricted pattern. Let me see if this is allowing me to do it. No, 2 things got failed. One is must contain 2 special characters and must not contain the restricted pattern. Ladies and gentlemen, the password that I have tried right now, just now, was password at 123. Okay, so that is available here in this list. So therefore, the password is not allowed. And I'm going to use a different password. Okay, you see that it's now ticked everything. Okay, the password reset is now done. Okay, so that is how the users can reset their password. So I have just accessed the tool from the controller delete screen, and I have just did the password reset. So that's how the users can reset their password. So I have explained the feature through the Gina, and alternatively, the users can access the tool using a web browser, or else we do support the mobile device, app available for your mobile device, using which you can just access it for resetting your password or to unlock the account. And this product is absolutely compatible to access it on the mobile web browser, be it what mobile that you have, it doesn't matter, but it does supports the mobile web browser. So it is absolutely compatible. You will not find the UI stretched or unstretched. No, it is absolutely crystal clear. You can use it for resetting your password by accessing it through the mobile web browser. So that is what we have in the configuration section. And coming back to the feature called the directory self-service, I told you that this tool will allow the users to update any of their personal information. What kind of information they can update? That you can define right here. So you have this option that says the layout, a customized layout, where you drag and drop the attribute that they want to see when they log into ADSelfService Plus. And if at all it is a mobile number or a telephone number, you can define the format. So if it is 1 followed by 10 digits, like an Indian number, or 2 followed by 4 digits, 3 followed by 4 digits, like a US number, you can have it defined right here. And if it is an email address only or numbers only, you can have this one enabled, and you get this option. If you select this read only, they will not be able to update the information, but it will be available to view what you have in the in that particular field, right? So that is the self-update layout, which is available for the users. You just will have to drag and drop the element that you want them to update or to see. That is how they are going to see this window. This is the self-update layout. On top of it, we have this one that says the mail group subscription, where you can select the groups that you want the users to subscribe or unsubscribe. So these are all the groups that I have in my Active Directory. So I can simply select all the groups that that I want them to get an access to. And what are all the users? So who wants to have an access to it? Okay, I can either select this based on the users that I have, or based on the OU, in which all the users in that particular OU will be able to use that functionality. So in that way, you can get this functionality enabled for the users. So this is the directory self-service. So let me just quickly log out from here, and I'm going to log in as an end user. Just bear with me for a few seconds here. So I have just logged in as an end user, and you can see this is the screen that says the properties. All the properties of this particular user are visible. So this is my test account. I don't have anything enabled for this user, but I have nothing for that user. And I get this option that says the change password. Remember, change password is different from the password reset. So a change password can happen only if you know what the old password is, right? So, and the other thing is, if you want to change your password, you will have to authenticate at least once before changing your password. So if you could remember what I did little earlier, I have logged in as the end user. That is, I have given the domain username and password, and I have logged into the ADSelfService Plus, and now I get this change password option. And without providing the old password, I cannot perform the change password functionality, right? So this is entirely different from the resetting of password. If you want to reset your password, it is not required that you need to know what the old password is, but make sure the authentication techniques are passed, which means your SMS or email or the security questions, those verification techniques should have been passed in order to do the password reset. But the case is different in the password change. The next one is the enrollment. Now, this particular user has already enrolled into the software. Okay, so we can see that what are all the security question and answers that this person has configured. You have this option right here. If I want to change the question, change the answer, you got all the options available. And this is what I was talking about, the group subscription. Okay, so these are all the groups that this person can either subscribe or unsubscribe. So if I want to unsubscribe, I just come here and click this one. Now, the ADSelfService Plus, the instance that you're looking at right now, has been integrated with the AD Manager Plus, which is an Active Directory management and the reporting software. So I'm going to show that to you as well right now, like what kind of functionality that you would get if at all the integration is successful. Okay, just bear with me for one quick moment here. So this is my AD Manager Plus, like I said, an Active Directory management and the reporting software. So what this person has done, Andy, has clicked this option, and it has gone for an approval in the AD Manager Plus. Now, in the AD Manager Plus, I come here. If I hit the workflow, I got a new request, which is created by Andy, and it is still in the open state. So as a reviewer or an executor in AD Manager Plus, I can do anything. I can either execute it or reject it. Let me reject it. So once it is rejected, you see this one? So I can see what is the status of it, okay? What is the status of that particular request? You can just view it from here. And if at all, I'm going to approve it. Let me just give a new request to add to this particular group. Let's see how it works. Okay, so let me just hit the execute. So AD Manager Plus tells me that the execution has happened, and I can view the message in the AD Manager Plus. So, and the properties of this particular account, member of, logon name, the other information about that account is available. So let me just quickly go back to ADSelfService Plus. Okay, you see this one? It says subscribe now. Okay, and if I hit the my request, it says the request is closed, and it is executed. Right, so in that way, the users can see the status of the request. So whether it is approved or executed, you get all the options to see see the information about the request raised by the users. So this is what you have. Let me just quickly log out from here. All right, so the next feature that we have in the ADSelfService Plus that we're going to talk about is the security center. Okay, so coming to this one right here that says the password strengthener. So this is the feature which I would like to tell you. This feature will ensure that the users who are going to use this product for resetting their password or to unlock the account, this will ensure that they use a very complex password. Okay, so these are all the functionalities you can see right here. Restrict pattern. If you have given any pattern right here, so that particular password cannot be used in their password field. Okay, so whatever the pattern that you're going to provide right here, they cannot use it as their password. You can also disallow the use of words in the dictionary. You can just import a dictionary that contains the restricted words. So they cannot use any of those words as in their password field. And palindrome can be avoided. Repetition of two characters consecutively, that can be avoided. And this one is the most interesting one. They cannot use their old password. Okay, which means ADSelfService Plus will store the user's password, and we use a SHA algorithm to make sure that the password is safe and secure in the database of the software. So subsequently, when the users are going to reset their password, the history will be checked from the ADSelfService Plus database, and if it is available already, it cannot be used as their password. Okay, so and of course, if you think that it is a security concern, you can have this feature disabled. It's all a checkbox where you can enable it or disable it. So this is what we have here. And coming back to the license management section, the product is licensed based on the number of users who are going to use this product. Okay, so you might have some 100 users enrolled, and down the line, let's say 20 users have left your organization, which means those 20 licenses are still used by the ADSelfService Plus. And how are you going to recycle it is what I'm going to show you. This is the restrict users page. It's available in the admin tab. You have the license management, and there is a restrict users. You have an option for scheduling something like this, scheduler to restrict the users. What you can do is you can select the accounts, account expired, account disabled, account that are inactive for n number of days, account that are deleted from the Active Directory for the past 7 days. What the ADSelfService Plus would do is all those accounts, technically you call them as inactive, those accounts that have occupied the licenses will be freed up automatically. Therefore, the next set of users can very well use their licenses. So adding the users to ADSelfService Plus is going to be a hassle-free operation for you as long as the scheduler is enabled, right? That is what you have in the restrict users. And the integration, ADSelfService Plus can be integrated with the AD Manager Plus and the Service Desk Plus. So within the Service Desk Plus portal, they can access to the ADSelfService Plus so that they can reset their password. You do have an option for backing up the ADSelfService Plus database, and all the common configurations are pretty much available right here. The product supports the high availability, load balancing, and the reverse proxy for the fact that this tool can also be accessed from external world. Provided if you're going to host this application, but make sure that you can use the enable the reverse proxy, and that way the tool will be safe and secure. For the fact that this tool is designed for the end users, you have all the options for customizing the screen. Okay, if you want to change the logo that appears on the top left hand side, or if you want to make any change that will make sure that that'll feel the users that it is of your own tool, you can do that right here. Okay, so you got plenty of options, and single sign-on is available, which means once the user has logged into the computer, and if he wants to access to the ADSelfService Plus without any authentication, the option is pretty much available. And this is the same feature that will enable a single sign-on for the other web applications as well. And the settings, the common settings, like the web browser, or if you want the tool to display it in a different language, these are all the languages supported right now. You can see that plenty of options are available. So finally, you have the reports, and these reports will ensure that your auditors are satisfied, because this is going to give you the complete details about how many users have used this tool for resetting their password or to unlock the account. You got all the options available right here. All right, so that is available to you, the audit report. So you can also see the blocked users. If at all the user has typed in a wrong password or wrong verification code, those users will be suspended from using this tool for a few minutes, which are configurable. The option is available right here in the advanced section. So if somebody is, let's say, somebody is typing in a wrong answer for n number of times, within 30 minutes timeline, that user will be suspended from using this product. So you get all these options to you. And password synchronization, notification, automation. You have this automation, that is all the password expired users and account locked out users, they can use this tool automatically. Their password will get reset to their logon name, or the account will get unlocked. You have this automation available as well. And for the security enhancement, you can enable the CAPTCHA in all of these sections. So this is what we have in the ADSelfService Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you everyone for spending some time with me to understand some of the features. But I really have to explain a few other features, but most unfortunately, the time is not permitting me to continue. Therefore, I'm going to end this session in a short while, but before ending it, I am just going to show a poll just to make sure that, please get this thing answered. So I'm going to show a poll right now. So two things. If you want our assistance to help you with the installation and configuration of the product, please do let us know. So that is the first poll is all about. And the next poll is going to be about the feedback. And for any technical assistance, I think one of my colleagues has shared my email address, and there will be an email that will be sent to you as well. That'll have my contact details. So right now I'm in the poll 1, and the poll 2 will be shared in a short while. So I just got a question that after how long can an expired user be able to reset on ADSelfService? If at all a password is expired, they can use this tool for resetting the password. So it doesn't matter whether the password is expired or the password is not expired, but still they can access it for resetting their password. So what matters is the verification technique. All right, so I'm going to show the next poll real quick. Should take a few seconds. So this is about the session. So the second poll is now open, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so for any technical assistance, you can just reach out to us. If at all you're facing any problem with the ADSelfService Plus, you can just reach out to us. We are there to assist you. So you can just send me an email, just andy.p@manageengine.com. I'll be there to assist you with. All right. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a very pleasure talking to you all. Thank you so much for making this session more active. I'm sure a few of your questions were not answered, but I will ensure that all the questions are answered via email. Alternatively, if you have any further questions about the tool, as I mentioned before, you can just send me an email. My email address is andy.p@manageengine.com. Thank you once again, and you all have a safe and a great day. Bye-bye.